Okay, the price that I'm going to show you in just a moment for the tour to Tanzania includes all of the following that you see here. So, your round trip airfare is included in this price. We will be staying in a number of hotel rooms when we first arrive and when we get ready to leave. Otherwise, we'll be staying in a mobile tent unit, which, if you'd like to see more, you can watch the brief video on what the tour will be like. In addition to that, our price includes a 24/7 bilingual tour guide, as well as, even though it is not listed here, two additional cultural and community liaisons who will be with us at all times. On tour transportation, so the four-wheel drive vehicles that we'll be in when going to and from various locations, um, the safari vehicle that we will be in, all of that is covered. There is nothing else beyond what is in the price regarding that. The educational curriculum that we'll be doing, guided tours and activities that we'll do throughout the duration of our stay, every single meal, all beverages, that is all included. The 24/7 on tour assistance, which is for the parents, you can call and contact us at any time, day or night. EF's travel support team. In addition to that, we also are working with We Charities. So they are an added support team that we have while we are in Tanzania. The tour donation page that EF has created for you to facilitate getting donations for your trip. The 20 service hours that are certified and you will get a certificate for after you complete the trip. You get some swag. There's a travel backpack. And then all of the leadership building activities that we do, the global protection, travel protection plan, which is an opportunity for you that if something were to happen, for example, your son or daughter breaks their leg and therefore can't work because this is a service tour, they wouldn't be able to go. This is an opportunity for you to file a claim and get all of your money back, with the exception, I believe, of the $95 and the global protection, travel protection plan fee. So you would get back everything except for this small amount. A few things that aren't covered that you would need to cover. Passport and visa fees are not included in the price that I'm about to show you. If you take additional airport baggage, that is not included as well, although I would recommend that you limit it to just one bag. And then any spending money that you take along with you to Tanzania, do keep in mind that is going to be very, very minimal. With the exchange rate, the purchasing price of the dollar in Tanzania is very high, so that at a decent restaurant, you can get a full meal for about $2. So we'll have limited opportunity to actually spend money while we're there. We will have opportunity to buy souvenirs and so forth, but it won't be that we'll be able to spend money every single day. It's just going to be a few days. So the amount's going to be limited. And then on top of that, with the purchasing power of the dollar, it's very little you're going to have to send with your children regarding that. The only other thing that should be listed on here and is not, but is something that it's optional, but you should do it, is any of the shots and so forth, immunizations that are recommended for going to Tanzania. And I can give you more information on that at a later date as well, but we're looking at not too much money regarding that. So the price I'm going to show you right now is the total price of the tour, but without any contribution from your son or daughter. So I'm going to go on to indicate some of the fundraising plans and strategies that we have designed for you to consider, which will bring this total down substantially if you allow your son or your daughter to contribute to paying for this trip. So just keep in mind the price I'm showing you now is the total price of the tour, and specifically the total price of the tour if you as a parent are paying for everything. And then I will show you what it looks like if you allow your son or daughter to contribute. Okay, so the total price for going to Tanzania with everything included that I mentioned is $4,800, $4,825 to be exact. That breaks down to $345 a month or $172 every other week. There are a number of ways that you can pay for this tour. When you sign up, a $95 deposit is required. However, you could opt to pay in full for your tour. You could also opt to pay monthly or bi-weekly. Now, if you pay in full, you can use a credit card, a personal check, or a debit account. If you pay monthly or biweekly, then we are talking about needing to use a debit card because they set this up with your bank, and it's an automatic thing that you choose the day out of the month or the day of the week that everything is taken out. So unfortunately, you cannot use a credit card for the monthly or biweekly. That does have to be a debit card. But to pay in full, you can use a credit card. The other option that's not on here is a manual payment plan. The way that works is that up front you pay the $95, and I believe the Global Protection Plan as well, which is a little over $100. I can double check on that for you. Or it'll also be listed on the site when you go and try to register. You pay that, and then within a couple of months, there's a flat fee of $500 you have to pay, and then a couple months after that, there's another $500 you have to pay. But then you can pay any amount at any time up until a few months before we leave. So that manual payment plan gives you that flexibility to pay when you can. So 3 different options: pay in full, pay monthly or biweekly, which is set up with your bank, and then the final one, pay manually. And that manual payment can be done with a credit card. It can be done with a bank card. So you have more choice there. Okay, now, the thing I want to kind of encourage you to consider is allowing your son or daughter to help to pay for this trip. They are the ones who want to go on this trip to Tanzania. And I've seen other students pay for trips like this, or at least contribute. And the sense of pride and like self-reliance and responsibility that they show after doing something like this, where they're contributing to their own trip, it's amazing to see. So we have 3 different ideas here. You can do 1, you can do 2, you can do all of them. So the first thing we want you to consider is that instead of presents this year, you ask for contributions to your trip. So you say, Grandma, Grandpa, instead of that gift that you give me every year, would you consider contributing to this service trip that I would like to go on to Tanzania, Africa? And you would want to perhaps make up something that you could show them, indicating some of the things that we're going to do there, and personalize it to them. You could do the same with aunts and uncles. Instead of that present, would you consider contributing to my trip? Another idea is friends. If you have a birthday party, ask your friends that in lieu of gifts, if they could make a small donation to your GoFundMe page, which EF sets up for you. And you could do the birthday party so that it's themed for Africa, for Tanzania. And it'd be a really neat way for your friends to contribute to this amazing experience that you're going to have as well. So if you look at our numbers down below, you can do this not only for birthdays, but for holidays. And then social media crowdsourcing, you can send out your link and see who in your social media networks, this is particularly directed toward perhaps parents, might want to contribute to your son or daughter's trip as well. So being conservative, if you consider birthdays, holidays, and social media crowdsourcing for getting that link to the donation page out, you're looking for from anywhere from $150 to $400 that potentially your son or daughter could contribute to the trip. Now, you know your child better than we do. So you can see down at the bottom of this slide, I had some space to kind of just, do the math and figure out, okay, well now how much does my son or daughter usually receive through birthday gifts, holiday gifts? Reach out to grandparents, see if they would like to contribute to this once in a lifetime trip, and kind of tally up what you might be able to have your son or daughter contribute just through the holidays and the birthdays and reaching out to family members. So that's one idea. The next, and we already have these set up and are ready to go for April, is two fundraisers, two big fundraisers that we'll do periodically throughout the next 14 months before our trip. So first, using Oregon Dairy, we plan to do a sub and sandwich sale. We have figured through Oregon Dairy that we can make $3 per sub. And if you reach out to teachers, often teachers are going to buy a sub from you for that day at work, but they'll also buy subs for their entire family and take them home, and that's dinner. So one person you might be able to sell anywhere from 1 to 5, 6 subs. So if you look at the numbers here, if you sell 25 subs, that's $75 that you've raised already. 50 subs, $150. And we'll be doing these fundraisers this April, the following October in the fall, and then the following April in 2020, right before our trip. Keep in mind, teachers aren't your only people to sell to, right? Potentially friends, neighbors. Canvass your neighborhoods, and take a flyer along telling them what you're selling these subs for, that you are doing this service trip to Tanzania. So once again, really personalize it. And then coworkers. This is particularly for parents. If you can take a sandwich sale sheet to your coworkers and sell some sandwiches and subs for your son or daughter, you can see how those numbers of 25, 50 could add up and actually become higher very, very quickly. In addition to that, we're planning a candy sale. Now, this would be something more that the kids could do at school. I know other kids are always buying candy from young people who are doing a candy sale. And you can see the numbers there as well, so that when you tally up the candy sales and the sub sales, being conservative, you could make about $300 from that. On the upper end, perhaps $600. And if you're really good and can sell more than 50 subs and 50 candy bars, then you're looking at something even much higher. So now, if you take a moment and look at the birthdays and the fundraisers, what are you already up to having your son or daughter contribute? They're contributing on a conservative scale, $450. On the upper level, if they can fundraise more and are able to get more donations for birthdays and holidays, you're looking at $1,000 that they could take off just by doing these two very simple things. And the fundraising, as well as making up flyers to send to family members, this is something that Mrs. Broish, Mrs. Eshelman, and myself, the 3 teacher leaders on this tour, are very willing to work with kids to design, and we will be organizing meetings where we'll be focusing on these things and make sure that we design this and do this in a way that your children can contribute as much as possible. The final thing we have here laid out is that I really want to encourage you to allow your child to perhaps get a summer job or a part-time job. I think the responsibility that builds, as well as that idea of, sacrificing a little bit of free time now in order to achieve something greater in the future that you're working toward this trip. It's just a remarkable gift to give to your child, that ability to kind of earn a wage through a summer job or a part-time job that they could then use to contribute to this trip. So I really like to say that this is a good way to allow your son or daughter to contribute to this trip. Now, how much can they really earn? So what I've done here is based on the PA minimum wage. Net, what they would bring home after taxes is right around $6 an hour. And then figuring, now this is low, but figuring they work 7 hours a day. Usually it would be 7.5 with the half hour for lunch. So 7-hour days, $6 an hour, you're looking at $42 a day net income after taxes that they'd be bringing home. So I've broken this down in 2 ways. If you consider them having a summer job, there are 11 weeks in the summer. I'm only considering 10 weeks. If they work for 10 of the 11 weeks and work even 3 days a week, they're bringing home and can contribute to this trip over $1,200. Now keep in mind, if they're making more than minimum wage, then that number goes up. If they're working more than 3 days, then that number goes up. If they're working 11 weeks instead of 10, then of course that number goes up. The same is true for the next scenario. If your child works just 1 day a week, for the next 56 weeks. There are actually 61 weeks that we have between now and the trip, but I'm considering this, doing this conservatively. So if they work 1 day a week for the next 56 weeks, they are going to make $2,300. So one final way to look at this is for the summer job, you're working 30 days. So if you think your son or daughter in the next year and 2 months can work 30 days, then they're contributing $1,200. And with the 1 day a week, if you think that in a year and 2 months, your son or daughter could manage to work 56 days, they're contributing $2,300 to this trip. That's half the cost right there with just a job that they're working 1 day a week. So you can see here, I hope, how by using fundraising the birthdays, but also allowing your child to get a summer job or a part-time job, they can pay for a good portion of this trip, making the portion that you would contribute much, much lower. And we have space at the bottom of this slide that you could actually consider. Now, our estimates conservatively, they could make anywhere from $1,700 to $3,300 if they did all three things at various levels. And you can figure out then how much that would bring down your total from the $4,800. So a few more things I just want to show you here quickly. If your son or daughter does the 3 days a week during the summer and then just minimally fundraises, just a couple $100, it brings that $4,800 automatically down to $3,000, $200 a month, $100 pretty much every other week. If they work the 3 days during the week during the summer and do quite a bit of fundraising, that they could get up around that $1,000 mark from birthdays, fundraising, then it comes down, the total to send your kid to Africa comes down to $2,500, $183 a month, $92 every other week. Two more. Here's where they're working those 56 days, so 1 day a week, and doing very minimal fundraising. Now it's down to $2,000, $144 a month, $72 biweekly. And finally, in our biggest scenario, but keep in mind, this might even be lower for you if your child works more or makes more than minimum wage or fundraises more than $1,000 through birthdays as well as our fundraising opportunities. Then it comes down to $1,400, $100 a month, $50 every other week. And I don't think this is out of the realm of possibility for most students working 1 day a week. And that's not even counting the extra days that they might be working during the summer. And then fundraising up to about $1,000. I think if they're selling subs, selling candy, being willing to give up some of their birthday physical gifts in order to have people contribute to their trip, this wonderful experience, I think this scenario is completely within the realm of possibilities for many of our students out there. Finally, a few things to consider here. European tours cost anywhere from $37 up to $4,000. That's the general range that we see going at Township right now with the other tours. The thing to keep in mind is that these tours do not cover any beverages while you are on tour. They don't cover lunches and they don't cover tips. So on top of that price of $37 to $4,000, you have to add an additional $500 to $600 when you consider the beverages, lunches, tips, and then any souvenirs. With this trip to Africa, to Tanzania, there are no tips. So you don't have to add another $100 to that. There just are no tips. All food, all beverages are included in the price. There is nothing extra you have to buy, except maybe sending along a little bit of money for souvenirs. But once again, that's going to be minimal because in Tanzania, we're not going to have a lot of opportunity to buy things. And on top of that, the purchasing power of the dollar is very, very high. So, who's in? If you would like to enroll, this is where you enroll. You go to eftours.com and type in that number, the /2238, yada, 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 right? The $4,800 is good until Monday, April 1st. So it gives you 5 days to consider, do some of the math, figure out if this is something that you think is doable for you and your son and daughter and your family. After Monday, April 1st, then the price does go up. It goes up $200, put it just right around $5,000. So $5,025, and you can see the breakdown for the payments there as well. Please reach out to me if you have any questions, and I will make other videos for what the trip is going to be like as well, so that you can refresh your memory on that. Thank you once again for listening to this, and thank you to those who had come to the meeting, and please reach out to me if you have any questions whatsoever.